The Eagles took Milton Williams in the third round of the 2021 draft, and he's a complete unicorn athletically. Looking at his combine testing, you can see he's in the 99th and 98th percentile in the 40-yard dash, vertical jump, three cone. But at 284 pounds with 31.5-inch arms, I didn't know if the play strength would translate to the NFL. Coming from Louisiana Tech especially, that's a major jump in competition level. But watching his tape from this past season, I think the Eagles have something in Milton Williams. He's making a lot of splash plays that highlight his athleticism, but he's also been really consistent on a snap-to-snap basis, and he's improved on a lot of the intricacies of the position that he struggled with in college. This past year, Milton Williams was PFF's highest graded defensive lineman from the last two draft classes, and you see with guys like Jeffrey Simmons, Dexter Lawrence, Quinnen Williams, the breakout for defensive linemen usually happens around year 3 or year 4. So with this group of players, they're really more just prospects at this point, but Milton Williams is looking like he could be ready for a breakout season next year. As a pass rusher, he only had 14 pressures and 4 sacks, but he wasn't asked to play a primary pass rushing role in the Eagles' defense. Watching a lot of his reps where he wasn't getting pressure, it wasn't as much that he was trying to get to the quarterback and failing. Philadelphia just didn't need him to be that main guy, so he had contain rush responsibility a lot of the times, and he wasn't asked to just pin his ears back and rack up a bunch of numbers. But when they do unleash him as a pass rusher, he's shown a lot of flashes. The first thing you notice with Milton Williams, and this comes into play with every aspect of his game, he's one of the most explosive defensive linemen off the snap in the entire NFL. There are very few defensive tackles that have as dangerous of a first step as Milton Williams, and then he creates a lot of knockback on his initial punch. As a player with shorter arms, it's usually not in his best interest to engage and then lock into contact because his length disadvantage is going to get exploited. So on this play, Milton Williams gives a quick and violent two-hand punch and then disengages, rips underneath this outside arm, and gets to the quarterback. The rip move is where Milton Williams has had the most success as a pass rusher. You can see on this play the left guard establishes first contact, but Milton Williams has a leverage advantage because he's playing lower than the block. So with this outside arm up high on the shoulder, he has an opening to rip through to the quarterback. When I talk about acceleration for a pass rusher, usually I'm talking about the first snap off the line of scrimmage, but Milton Williams uses his acceleration to create pressure late in the snap. So right here, the Saints run a flea flicker. Alvin Kamara has the ball, so Milton Williams is trying to separate himself from the block and set the edge. But then when Kamara flips the ball back to Taysom Hill, most defensive linemen are not going to have enough juice to go 0 to 100 and accelerate to the quarterback when they didn't fire off the snap. But Milton Williams does a great job holding this outside wrist because remember, the outside arm needs to be extended for the rip move to work. So he gets past the left tackle, fights through the chip help, and then bends to the quarterback at a flatter angle than most edge rushers are capable of. Milton Williams is still able to add value as a contain rusher because he's so quick that he almost functions as a QB spy. So right here, Hassan Reddick, Fletcher Cox, and Brandon Graham all push the pocket. Milton Williams hangs back to keep that leveled pass rush, and then when Kenny Pickett escapes the pocket, Milton Williams is able to accelerate and then completely stop his momentum in space when he cuts back. This rep is an example of something I want to see more of from Milton Williams as a pass rusher. His first move doesn't work out. He's trying to use an inside swipe, but the guard does a good job recovering. But then he's able to seamlessly transition from that first move into a bull rush and push the blocker into the quarterback's lap. For him to develop into a consistent pass rusher that gets 40 to 50 pressures a year, Milton Williams is going to have to improve his ability to convert speed to power like this. Otherwise, he'll be someone that makes a few splash plays but doesn't really create pressure on a snap-to-snap basis. What's really surprised me about Milton Williams, though, is how effective he's been in run defense. As an undersized defensive lineman, you would expect that to be the area that he struggled with early in his career. But he's been an exciting playmaker and also someone that doesn't get blocked very easily. Like I mentioned earlier, he does a great job overcoming his length disadvantage by being so powerful with his hands. So you can see on this play from week 10, he wins the initial hand fight with the guard. Milton Williams has his hands inside before the guards landed his hands, and then he takes advantage of the natural leverage that he has by being a shorter player and drives up through the block and lifts it off the ground. At this point, he's got his left arm fully extended, shielding off the block, and he's following the flow of the run. But then when the running back gets within striking distance, he's able to cross over, disengage, and make the tackle. On this play, he does a great job using a long arm technique, again, to overcome the length disadvantage that he has. By only extending one arm and pointing that shoulder directly at the block, he's extending his area of reach and keeping his chest clean, and then he's just waiting for the ball carrier to get close enough to cut back. This is a great rep against Kenyon Green. Again, you see Milton Williams arrives first with his hands. That allows him to be in full control of the interaction. He lifts the block upwards and just forces a leverage advantage. And then again, he has the short area quickness to shade from gap to gap and actually make tackles instead of just filling up running lanes. Great rep here against Zach Martin. Same exact thing we've been talking about. He's first with his hands, inside hand placement, stands the blocker up, and then two gaps until the running back makes a decision. And Milton Williams isn't someone that's going to play a lot of nose tackle, especially on running downs, but I've been really surprised by his ability to fight through double teams. Normally someone of his athletic build, if you've got him on the field and the offense decides to double team him, you just chalk that up as a win for the offense. But he's just impossible to latch onto. He's so twitchy that even if blockers get their hands inside initially, he's relentlessly fighting to disengage and reestablishing his anchor. Really nice job on this play, standing up the double team from Ryan Kelly and Quentin Nelson. And then with how explosive his first step is, he's been dominant on slants and even just simple inside movement. Right here, the Cowboys are running outside zone, so everyone on the offensive line is taking a play side step in unison to the left. And what screws up outside zone is when the defense slants in the opposite direction against the flow of the run. So Milton Williams gives a quick inside step, dips his inside shoulder, so he's creating a small target for this guard to latch onto, and then wipes through and closes in on Tony Pollard. Same thing right here against Quentin Nelson, except Nelson's coming at him low, so Milton Williams swims over the top to take advantage of his leverage. So Milton Williams' tape from this past season is extremely promising, and we still need to see more consistency, but I think he can be a really effective 3 technique over the next couple years as his role increases. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Also, let me know in the comments any players or teams that you'd like me to cover.